I remember as a young man watching a movie starring Daniel Day-Lewis called The Last of the Mohicans. As technology changes today, people of my generation are becoming the last, but in a positive way. I'm probably the last generation that remembers having to wait few weeks pulling favors to get a government MTNL, BSNL type landline connection. I was in school when mobile phones began to pick up, where you still had to pay for both incoming and outgoing. India's journey of communication connectivity, forget leapfrog, is now at a faster than developed economies phase. It would actually be rather useful to put this into context before we open up this conversation. Can I get my colleagues this map on the screen, and let's put it out individually so that we can see the before and after. So what you're seeing on your screens is a heat map, ladies and gentlemen, of 5G connectivity. And the heat map is telling you that the US, India, parts of the eastern seaboard of China, South Korea that you can see, all lit up in green, showing rapid 5G connectivity. Most of Europe is still dark, which means in places like Spain, France, Ireland, Scotland, you're not getting 5G at the same pace. And this is telling, and let me put some statistics out for you. Ladies and gentlemen, 5G is about 16 to 25 times faster. And as I mentioned, last of something, I'm the last generation that remembers 2 to 3 kbps was a big deal. Today, in parts of India and Gujarat, you're looking at 5G connectivity median speeds of upwards of 300 Mbps. That is faster than your Wi-Fi at home. And it's wireless, it's on your mobile phone. Even in UP, the 5G rollout has hit speeds of 20 to 30 Mbps, which is many times faster than what it was before. India now ranks 5th in the global median of 5G speeds. We are in the top tier of the rollout. And I know for a fact that we are now launching and have launched a mission for the development, including the R&D for 6G. So let me quickly open up this conversation. Rajiv Gupta is on the broadcast with us. Vanya Arya is joining us on the broadcast. Mithali Nikor is joining us, and Peshwa Acharya on the broadcast with us. Mr. Gupta, let me begin with you, because these are technologies which generationally we know they get rolled out elsewhere in the world, and then India eventually catches up. Now a trend reversal is happening. The rollout in India is happening faster than the rollout in Europe. How have we managed that?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I, in fact, keep talking about this, that probably what has changed is our own outlook about ourselves. That is the only thing that has changed, which is making all this happen. I think I was just talking to somebody yesterday that what was the difference before 2014 and after 2014? I think things were the same, country was the same, GDP of course was growing that time also, it is growing at a steady state now as well. But I think what we started to look at was ourselves, and started to look at ourselves positively. So what has changed is our own outlook, and that has made us to kind of lead the world. I mean, our saying that we want to be the Vishwaguru, we want to be Atmanirbhar, etc., it has had a huge impact on the mindset of everybody, and I think from the leader, everything follows then after that. So, of course, technologically, IT was always at cutting edge in India, and this digitization and Industry 4.0, I remember when we started to talk about Industry 4.0 some years back, we used to be saying in our technology circles, in IITs and all that, if we miss this bus this time, then we will probably be nowhere. So I think we have not missed that bus. We are rolling out things at the highest pace. I mean, we all know at the rate at which our digital economy has grown. It is growing at a healthy rate of 16, 17% every year, 2.5 times of the growth of the economy. 90 million plus digital transactions, which is the highest in the world. So
Yeah.
for all of this to happen, I think that's what has
Okay, so let's put this into real world context. So there's theory and there's practice. Now I am sitting in a insulated, soundproofed basement studio in the south of New Delhi, the national capital. Okay, can I get my camera person to zoom in on this? So I've just done the speed test on 5G, and I'm getting signal here in the basement, and 506 Mbps download speed. This is Airtel 5G. 506 Mbps. Ladies and gentlemen, just about 3 months ago, I got gigabit internet at home, and I get about 600, 700 Mbps. That's on an optic fiber cable, okay, which had to be specially laid to my house. So 506 in a basement. And the median speed, as I mentioned, in Gujarat is about 350 Mbps. So this is a real world test. Not too long ago, I would say a year or two ago, mobile connectivity had become so bad you couldn't take a phone call. Okay, there were tower issues and so many issues, and we all had to go to the balconies to take a phone call. Now you have Wi-Fi calling and VoIP calling. It's a game changer. Now I work in the media industry where you deal with heavy videos. I can't tell you how different it is to having to take pen drives everywhere versus just transferring files on your mobile phone in a few seconds. It's a very serious game changer. Let me get Vanya into this conversation. Vanya, proof of the pudding is in the eating. Are we palpably noticing that our connectivity speeds are allowing us to do a lot more on the move?
Completely in line with you, Rishabh. Thank you, NewsX. The 5G has actually been a game changer, be it any industry you took, be it telesurgery, be it online gaming, be it network slicing, anything, be it educational industry. When in the times of COVID, many people have gone through online education while downloading any of the videos, where it takes like hours and hours in the past. If we compare, and now within a fraction of seconds, you are able to see the complete video, or be it transferring of your files, and be it robotics, be it artificial intelligence, or be it virtual reality, whatever, any technology, any industry you pick. But how this boon has created and made our life actually easy, where we are living into the world of technology and automation, and things are changing at a much faster pace. Students are getting very good online education sitting at home. Doctors are able to do their surgeries. In industry also, lot of video streaming. Healthcare industry, it has proven a boon in the healthcare industry, where ambulances are getting connected. Doctors are able to see their patients remotely. And not only India, they can see it across the globe. And the surprising part is, where India was dependent on, for many things, like we are outsourcing or we are migrating from our nation to another nation. Now, actually, the face has changed. Where
okay, so you're seeing a real world demonstration as we speak. Many of you are probably watching this live telecast being streamed.
Yeah.
Just about 2 or 3 years ago, so not a long time ago. Okay, just about 2 or 3 years ago. To do this telecast, I would have to send a very complicated outdoor broadcasting van with hundreds of meters of cables to the houses of each of our guests, and there would have been a camera and a camera unit, and that's how we would be doing this telecast. Now we are doing it through online streaming, through Zoom and other things, and you don't need a lot of bandwidth. You just need a few Mbps to do video calls. I remember the time when Skype started, and doing a video call was a crazy, insane, amazing thing to do. FaceTime and all these things started. Now it's become routine. It's part of daily habit. We are all attending Zoom meetings all the time. And that doesn't take a lot. Half a Gbps opens up a completely different spectrum completely different domain, and which is why you're seeing online gaming, virtual reality, augmented reality, all of these things are coming, and that's all speed sensitive. So let me quickly get Vanya into this, and I think one of our guests is probably sitting. Mr. Acharya seems to be sitting outside somewhere, and he's connected on his mobile phone, and he has a stable connection, which is indicative. Real world tests are important. Let me quickly get Mithali into this conversation. Mithali, palpably, now you are, if you were to travel today from Delhi to Paris, you would get frustrated with the slow internet speed. If you were to travel from Mumbai to London, you would get frustrated with the slow internet speed. If you went to Brussels, if you went to Madrid, you would get frustrated with the slow internet speed because it is 10, 15 times slower than what you have in Indian cities now. Not across the board, but largely.
Yeah.
That's a bit ironic, isn't it?
So firstly, Rishabh, thanks. I love the fact that you're making my travel itinerary for 2024. I think I must go to all of these cities and document
send us a screenshot,
speed. But, Rishabh, I think how did we get here? And that question is so pertinent because it's not a one day, it's not a one year investment even. I think we have to look back to the year 2015 with the inception of the Digital India mission and the renewed focus on the BharatNet mission. When this started, that was the first time that any government came out and said that digitization and technological, advancement is our stated aim. And then the second biggest year of public investments in infrastructure, telecommunications infrastructure, was actually 2018, when we saw the National Broadband Mission being announced, alongside two other initiatives called Fiber First and the National Digital Grid. And these actually found mention in the union budget speech, which is very important because, the allocation was also almost 30,000 crores for each of these missions. And, previously, before this, it was always a private sector-led initiative to, prop up the IT industry and prop up services. But this time, the government took the lead and said, we are going to now invest a large quantum of money into enhancing and upgrading the telecommunications infrastructure.
But Mithali, money, okay, you can spend crores on your wedding, you can spend crores on your house, you can have the money, but getting it executed is a completely different thing. So I just want to put a map on our screens, okay? Can we just put my touch screen on it? So there you have it, okay? So ladies and gentlemen, in May of 2022, there's almost no 5G connectivity in India. Very little is just kicking off in Delhi NCR. Okay? So there's nothing. That's the left side of your screens. By August 2023, it's almost cent%. There's some forested areas in Andhra that are not getting 5G. Beyond that, it's almost cent%, including the Northeast, including Jammu and Kashmir, almost cent% 5G connectivity. In the same period of time, here's have a look at Europe. Okay, May 2022 they were far ahead of you in 5G rollout. August 2023 they made little progress, but they're far behind you. Major countries, have a look at the south. Spain almost nothing, France almost nothing, Italy almost nothing. Eastern Europe, almost nothing. Just a smattering around London, smattering in the low countries, Sweden and other places with good connectivity. As you head towards the east, nothing. Norway, nothing. Disappointing. And of course, North America, excellent rollout in the US. And in Asia, mostly it's China and South Korea and some of Japan. Most of those countries are also well behind you as we speak. So let me get Mr. Acharya into this conversation. Mr. Acharya, how has this happened in 8 months? Because all I remember covering communication the last 10-15 years was some 2G scandal, some issues that we can't have mobile trackers because RWAs have a problem with these mobile towers. This problem, that problem. Then Huawei became a huge stumbling block to 5G, and yet here we are, one of the best speeds in the world.
Absolutely. Thank you for inviting me. Let me put in perspective. I'm actually in a place in the central part of Vietnam, far away from our country. This is another, I'm on a family holiday, but I'm able to do this communication quite well. This is one of the other Asian countries also which has great connectivity like India. So I just wanted to put it in
Yeah,
perspective
Vietnam, South
that
Korea,
it
yeah,
is
are
not
doing great.
always,
Yes.
yes, it is not always the Western world which lead the way. Asian countries actually have a lot of inbuilt dynamism. So I just want to put one thing in perspective. I joined the telecom industry in year 2000 as the chief marketing officer of Hutchison, which was, now Vodafone. If you actually see the last 22 odd years, India has actually been ahead of many of the Western worlds in terms of ability to do things much more frugally, much more efficiently, and better. Even the whole concept of prepaid was actually kind of driven from India. Coming to 5G, 5G is one technology which gives you lower latency and essentially not just higher speed, it helps you in a two-way communication. And therefore, it is really the digital infrastructure utility platform for everything. According to me, this growth for India has happened for a few factors. One, I think we must give kudos to the government in power, government who is ruling us, our leadership in understanding the value of digital infrastructure and the kind of support they have given in many ways. So I have to give kudos to the government in power and the people who are really driving our leadership. That is number one. Number two, I think, is private sector and public sector has understood the value of creating this infrastructure. And I'm really happy to say that one of the things have actually been driven by Jio. Incidentally, Reliance is also my ex-company. I worked in Reliance for a long time. But that apart, I think the prices at which Jio and Airtel is able to give 5G services to the common people is really about democratization. I think nowhere in the world, except some of these Asian countries and in India, you will get 5G, subscription at as low as
Yeah,
maybe
so
three, four
we are
dollars
no
a
longer
month.
the cheapest in the world. We used to be the cheapest in the world. So
Yeah,
we are no longer the cheapest
yeah,
in the world, but we are near the cheapest in the world. It's a few
yes,
rupees
yes,
per gigabyte, as most people know it.
yeah.
If you
But
try doing this in London, okay, you're going to be
yeah,
paying pounds per gigabyte, hundreds of rupees per gigabyte. Even the
absolutely.
US very expensive. So let me just put this map on our screens once again, because it visually tells the story very effectively. Okay. Can I get my PCR crew to just sort it out, so that we can actually see the whole thing, okay? And meanwhile, let me get Mr. Gupta into this conversation. Yeah, there you have it, okay? So now have a look at this.
And
The top part of your screen is this part of your screen here. That is March of 2022. So just over a year and 18 months ago, okay? Less than 18 months ago. This is August 2023 at the bottom of your screens. So you see India, nothing in March of 2022. Have a look at the heat map of 5G services available, okay? Then look at the rest of the world. You can see North America, especially the eastern seaboard of North America and the west coast with gaps in between. Almost no 5G connectivity in Canada. So if you're trying to call your cousins in Brampton, well, they don't have 5G, but you do, okay? You can see Spain here, nothing, almost nothing. France, almost nothing. Italy here, nothing. Eastern Europe, nothing. So in the low countries, which is Belgium, Sweden, Norway, near zero connectivity. Ireland, not there. Of course, the Danish territories of Greenland, then of course Iceland, nothing much. Even in the Middle East, have a look at this. No surprises. There's nothing in Pakistan. But even in the Middle East, other than you can see faint spotches where you have, of course, Dubai, and of course Spain's faint spotches where you have rollouts in Israel, but all these areas around Turkey, all of them completely dark. So and India is lit up, almost cent% lit up. It's quite amazing pictographical representation. Okay, Rajiv ji, very good, very nice. We are a powered surplus country. We are now a food surplus country. We are almost a data surplus country. We consume more data just doing masti. than we need to, to do with it. But so what do we do with it? How does this enable and empower people, businesses, and others?
Rishabh, I think, first of all, we need to understand that we are using technological words, etc. But it is simply like this, that we needed highways for driving cars. Today, we need this digital infrastructure. We use this word digital infrastructure. So fundamentally, it's nothing but a huge, set of highways, network of highways on which data is moving, right? So I think India long back, I think in this government had decided that we need to do infrastructure-led growth. If you put up heat maps of anything today, if they were heat maps of airports, you put heat maps of roadway, highways, anything that you put up, you will find this kind of a situation. So how it helps businesses is that, see, first of all, it has direct impact on a lot of things. I don't know how many people understand Industry 4.0 in terms of manufacturing, etc. If you are having a factory, for example, the machines talk to each other. There is lesser manpower required to kind of manage these businesses. The productivity of people increases in all these things. Not only does it increase the productivity, it also helps improve the quality of things. Number two, in a populated country like ours, where we have such remote areas, for example, if you wanted to educate everybody in this country, one way is that you would have to open schools everywhere. And there are such remote corners in this country where probably it may become almost next to impossible to do quality education. Similarly, it may become very difficult to do. We always used to think about a hub and spoke model in terms of medical healthcare. So we would say, primary healthcare, tertiary healthcare, etc., etc. And always the thought used to be, I remember some few years back, I was giving a valedictory talk at a health conference where I was saying that, you are still thinking in that hub and spoke model that people will come to this center and all of that. A time will come when we will reach out to people. We will be giving this to people at their doorsteps.
Okay.
So I think...
I'll give you a very real personal example, right? So COVID started and you can technically... I could technically host this from home. I would not have a fancy studio to sit in, but I could technically sit down and host this from home. So colleagues who were not in metropolitan areas, who had got stuck because they were traveling, suddenly realized that if you were in eastern UP, if you're in Bihar, eastern parts of the country, even your fixed line internet connectivity wasn't good enough to support live streaming effectively. This is just 2 years ago. I'm not talking about decades ago when I was a teenager, when I was in school. This is just a couple of years ago, beginning of COVID. And that had a deleterious impact on their ability to perform their job because you can't travel. And if you're stuck outside a metropolitan area, you don't have good internet. So you can't upload, download, you can't live stream. It's a problem. Now, with just a 5G dongle or a mobile phone, you can have half a Gbps in many, many areas. You can have them on the go, up to 100 Mbps you can do on the go. So this is a game changing. But the real game changing part is what I want to examine next, and let me get Mithali back into this. So Mithali, so when 5G was coming, we were told that this is going to pave the way for the cloud, the Internet of Things, and everything is going to be connected. Okay?
Right.
Now that 5G has come, now that you have the highways, as Mr. Gupta has pointed out, what are the cars on those highways? So far, it's you and me and our mobile phones. But what are the devices in our homes, in our infrastructure, our red lights, our traffic lights, our cars?
Yes.
Are they all going to get connected now?
So I think the applications are immense, Rishabh. I mean, we can start with looking at, smart traffic lights. We can look at, better ways of managing our traffic by creating grids within, to improve urban mobility and the speed of cars and the speed of lights changing. We can think about digitally enabled trunk infrastructure. You can have highways which can actually charge your car, your electric car as you run on it. You can have, 5G is the key to climate resilience actually, because you can literally geotag and monitor which trees are you planting in the Sundarbans, for example, in order to combat climate change or have early warning systems when it comes to pollution, flood management, etc. And of course, as Sir said, the most important thing is social inclusion. So when we are talking about inclusion of women in the workforce, when we're talking about inclusion of any other marginalized groups in the workforce, suddenly you can have a lot of gig economy opening up and work opening up, employment opportunities opening up for them to come and actually apply for these jobs. And this is where the private sector is playing such an important role, because it's companies, after this government investment phase, it's companies like Google and Airtel and Jio, and then, a very less named company called Sterlite Technologies as well, which have all played a role in the years 2020 and 2021 into investing billions into this 5G
so
transition.
I have two further follow-up questions, but let me just take this quick thought and put the same question to Ms. Arya. Ms. Arya, what's next? So now you build the highway, what next?
So it's not only like, till highway, like even on the highways, you can monitor the speed and the way policemen are taking challans. So sensors are there, camera sensors are there. So it's not only confined to this industry, it has actually proven to be a boon, where a patient in an ambulance, and the ambulance is getting connected to the hospital, and remotely how patients can, get their, testing done. Apart from that, the lag that is coming in Teams call or video call or the Skype, nowadays, like, there is no such lag. It has actually proven to be a boon for industries on the cloud computing, where so much data is on cloud servers. No need to, take those hard drives and, keeping all your data into that. Everything is getting stored on cloud. And if one server is going actually on the spot, it is moving to the other DR server if due to some calamity is coming on the spot. So a direct failover is happening from one server to another server. So all these things, you don't have to store things in one
but
mobile.
let's transfer this into real world examples, because people watching the broadcast, how does this affect your life other than it makes it easy for you to watch a movie? Mr. Acharya, now you can't build a multi-billion-dollar company called Zoom if the people across the world don't have high-speed internet. The business model doesn't work. It's only because they have high-speed internet then this can come. So now, what are the opportunities for young people? So like a highway gets built, a traditional highway, then people, they can open a hotel, they can open an eatery, they can open a service station. Opportunities come along the way. So for people out there, business persons, entrepreneurs, engineers, coders, how can they use this highway to create opportunities, business opportunities?
Let me quickly tell you from my perspective, from my learnings, how I look at the applications usage of 5G in an immediate perspective. For me, the most important one would be actually business use in what is called smart manufacturing. That may not be too much from consumers, but organizations will use it very well for smart manufacturing. That is number one. Number two is I see 5G having an ability of making edtech, as we call it, education, much more inclusive, ability to explain in an easier way, which means that a tech company sitting in Delhi or a Bangalore or a Calcutta can actually get the whole of Indian market because of this connectivity. It doesn't need to be only one area. So education is another big area I can see, and some of the young entrepreneurs can actually work on that. Third one I see is healthcare. Healthcare both in terms of primary, secondary and tertiary healthcare. Not just tertiary healthcare, even in primary healthcare. And there are a lot of startups who are working on it, which is just not telemedicine, but much more. And the fourth input I have for young entrepreneurs, because according to me, the future of India is all about entrepreneurship. It is no longer just large corporate jobs. Entrepreneurs can build applications which sit on 5G in all areas, including IoT. So these are my four perspectives which I want to bring on the table.
And we silly when we seriously say smart devices are a luxury cliche right now. I've got a few smart lights and stuff at home. They're painful to set up. there's a limited usability. Even your smart home speakers and all limited usability, but that will translate. So the bottom line is the highway is now there. It's for you to figure out how to use it. EdTech, sir, I don't know if it's the best example in the current context. A lot of the big EdTech firms are in a lot of funding trouble. But nonetheless, the biggest example of connectivity and digital revolution, which is very low data use, has been UPI. Ladies and gentlemen, we do 10 billion UPI transactions every month in India. $1.7 trillion in dollar terms is being transacted via UPI every year, and that's increasing at an exponential rate. So it's next level. Rajiv ji, before I wind up, I have to ask you. So okay, great, 5G, well done. We've done a fantastic rollout, but we've done a rollout with a little bit of innovation in R&D, which we've done at our own end. But now we are saying 6G, which is the 6G ecosystem, which means the hardware, the software, the technology, the towers, the chipsets, that design we want to take a lead in. How?
Well, this is something which is very close to my heart, because I have also taken up an initiative called Reimagining Engineering Education in this country, because I think it lies somewhere at the heart of our technology institutions to bring out some of these things. I keep saying this, that okay, we roll out a lot of things, but we still are dependent on an Ericsson or a Nokia or whatever when it comes
or a
to
Qualcomm.
Or a Qualcomm or whatever. So the time has come when we need to have our own technology, and for that I think again, the country has definitely planned a new education policy. I am sure it will take the NRF, the National Research Foundation, which is going to put in billions of dollars, 50,000 crore I think is the amount that they are going to put up in the NRF. See, fundamentally there is research that has to improve, and that research will lead to more equipment, more things, more innovation that is going to happen.
Okay, so let me
the end users there. I mean, earlier there was a problem that even if you did the research and if you came out with something, whether it will get commercialized or not, today I think that's not a problem at all.
Okay, so 6G means that you should be able to design, if not manufacture, the chipsets. Qualcomm, for example, does very little chipset manufacturing. They design and hold all the patents. So every mobile phone, doesn't make a difference as Android or Apple, that is sold in the world has a Qualcomm designed chipset, which means that they pay a royalty on the patents and copyrights and R&D to Qualcomm. So you have to be able to design the chipsets, hopefully be able to manufacture them, and you have to be at the front line of the agreed, let me say, communication language that is going to be used for 6G, because that has to be universal. It can't just be one country and one company doing its own thing. The last time we saw a conversation on this was between GSM and CDMA, and that was 20 years ago. So it's pretty well settled. It is possible. So you'll need a big company, maybe it's Reliance, maybe it's the Tatas, maybe it's somebody else getting into this. So I leave it with that thought, that next time you're traveling abroad, don't take fast internet for granted, especially in Europe.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.